And we're back for podcast, what was it, 18? 18. We have our dear friend, Mark Moen. He's an official Buckmaster scorer. I think the last 5 years we've hung out in the garage for a night or two.
I come visit you every year.
Been very fortunate. And you measured your big one too, right?
Yes.
2 years ago?
Yep.
So tonight we're measuring my biggest ever. So this will be fun. There's a lot of people out there that kind of, is that deer really that big? And like, well, 3 guys have scored him, so now we'll get a professional in here and see how close we were. But we've been pretty much really close. Jesse had it, I think, 195.
Like
Nick
6'8", 4'8",
Nick had it 198, and Josh, who's been closest probably because he took the time and he's got all the tools you have. He was 196 and I think 4'8". So we'll see. Awesome. As long as it's over, 150, I'll be happy.
170.
So yeah, go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us kind of a little bit about yourself. And
Mark Moen, of course, I started back in 2001, and just on a whim, I wanted to learn how to score, Pope and Young, Boone and Crockett, whatever, and Buckmasters was fairly new. So I thought, I'm going to do it. And I just did it kind of selfishly to do my own deer, and go see. And then it just kind of blew up. I went everywhere. I like the Buckmasters scoring. It's a little different than the other two because it doesn't take into consideration spread, but by the same token, there's no deductions either.
Right. Right. So the difference between BTR and like Boone and Crockett, Pope and Young is just this is gross, correct?
Pretty much.
All gross and green.
Green.
Right?
There's no drying period.
Right.
Okay.
No dry time. I will say the gross, you add back that spread, to get close. Because everybody's like, well, why doesn't my deer score as high?
There's no inside spread.
There's no inside spread.
So
it's measured, right? You make note of it.
Right.
And
but it doesn't
go towards the BTR score. It's
BTR
bone,
score,
total bone.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So
exactly.
Nice.
That's cool. So how many deer have you done?
Oh, I knew you were gonna ask that. I don't have a clue.
Hundreds.
Over 100?
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah. I'm sure it doesn't take much. As soon as people find out that you do it, it's like, oh, hey, I got this deer. Hey, can you come over? And I just shot this deer. I haven't found it yet, but can you come over and score?
That's how I found you, was on the Buckmasters website for Iowa. I think there's 3 or 4 guys or maybe more. I'm like, oh, he's local. I'll talk to him, and we became friends, and here we are.
Russell Thornberry actually taught me. I was with Judy Calora, Mrs. Dopey.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we just happened to be in the same class.
Okay.
Down in southern, way down.
Leon area?
No, I forget where it was. Over by Clora's place.
Yeah.
I drove through it when I went to Kentucky, right next to his house.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that's where we had the seminar. And
okay, that's
so
cool.
It's been a long time.
Nice. So what's the biggest deer that you've scored?
273.
Wow.
And he didn't have it in the books because he had a little issue with another magazine. And he was a good buddy of mine, so I'm like, well, I'll score it for Buckmasters if you'll put it in there.
Never put it in.
Never put it in there. But yeah,
that's big deer.
Crazy big.
Someday. Not you. Not you.
Just 270 sounds fun.
I thought about over the course of time that from when I started deer hunting, how things have changed. And there was a time there when we were spoiled rotten. I literally could let a 170-inch deer go, knowing that there'd be a 190, 200. If for some reason it got shot or came up missing, I'd just go to another farm.
Yep.
Well, now there's 5 stands on that other farm, and it's got 5 different families that own it, so you can't get on it. It's just getting tough.
So evolution's changed with your neighbors and everybody in the hunting industry.
Yeah, the sanctuaries, the ones that you said, man, I wish they'd let you hunt there. Actually, those are the ones that I needed because that's where the big deer were going and getting some age on them.
Right.
Nice.
And I mean, even with all the, technology and the food plots and, all the mineral and all that stuff, there were just as big a deer 20, 30, 40 years ago as there is.
We just didn't
now.
know what we were doing then. You did. I mean, you've killed a lot of big deer, and a lot of them are in shields. Are they not?
There's some. Yeah. I got 4 in there yet.
Yep.
But, yeah.
So
it just goes to show like they've been here. They've been here the whole time. We're just now there's more people, probably more people with cameras, more people out there doing it, and you
probably started as far as tree stands go. You probably did the nail and wood, and you had the platform that you just stood on, no seat.
Put a 2x4
in the V.
Fork, the V of a tree, and you're sitting there.
Yeah.
No safety harness.
Yep.
Right. Trying to make a shot like that.
Yep. I remember
hindsight,
my dad took a hinge and made he kind of cross cut it so it would sit in the tree, and he found a V and he pushed the platform down into a hinge. It was pretty cool how he did it. I wish I still had that stand, but. Yeah, technology has changed a lot.
And trail cameras.
Yep.
One of the trail cameras was called the Wildlife Eye.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
With the
the big tape and everything in there.
Was that before the?
That was Drury's thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first video trail camera, right?
I mean, it was just video. It was
just
a
video.
camcorder that sat inside this, and the promo or the original ones were out of an ammo can, like the old
big ones though.
Yeah, like the big plastic ammo cans that they had the board and everything put together, and you put this video camera inside, and got the sensors, the IR sensor figured out when it tripped, it would go, and
had to have a specific VCR cameras, hook up, and sometimes she works, sometimes she
and then the film too, where you had to take it into Walmart or whatever, have it developed. I remember you had a bunch of those. I'm going to go into Walmart and get. I'm I don't even know what trail cameras are at this point. And you had a book full. You probably still have that somewhere.
Yeah, I got
with deer.
Even when they first started coming on SD cards, you would take that SD card because you didn't have these huge cards. They were small. They were megabytes instead of gigabytes, and then you have the whole you could go in and you could go to Walmart, would have kiosks, and you would put your SD card in there and you'd pick
all the pictures,
turn them off.
Yeah, I remember
I still have books.
My first camera was Wildview 0.8, I think it was. We had one flash on it, one strobe, so we had to put it up, high up in the tree and point it straight down. It had some cool pictures, but yeah, it's changed a lot. But as far as deer season's going this year, how's that going for you?
Been a rough year.
Yeah, a lot of people, except
the warm weather and just lack of deer.
Yeah,
I don't get it. I had my 2 big ones on film, and you've seen.
They're both nice. Both nice. Yeah.
And I got the drop time back in November, the 4th through the 6th. He came back to the farm, so I was like, whoo. But then the 10th was a killing day. That Saturday, I don't know about you guys, but that around my place,
deer everywhere.
We went to the locker. Went to the locker with a friend, and the size of the deer and the amount of deer that came in there that day was just amazing.
Oh.
Saturday, that's the night I almost killed. I almost killed a 170 at 3:30 behind a doe.
Yeah, all the days got mixed up. I have no idea. I have no idea where I was. Maybe my in-laws. I don't know.
I just know because I killed mine on Sunday. So and it was the day before, same stand, and it was slow until literally that day.
Well, I'm going to get started on this.
Yeah, we'll just
kind of get going and
first things first. Main beams, comes off that lowest point of the burr with the antlers kind of in a natural position.
And the funny thing is, I didn't know that for a long time.
Yeah, I think we were at their classes.
Yeah, so it was within the last year or two, somebody was telling us
they're doing Cowboy or Newt. What's his face?
Is Cameron doing it? Or
no,
tall, big.
Travis.
Travis.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, it's the lowest point." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's the lowest point on the burr." And I'm like, "Well, all my sheds and deer are about 3/4 of an inch bigger on each side because I would just go to the closest spot."
I got to show. So my father-in-law was hunting the Big 8 tonight, and he ended up shooting him. See that? So I'm waiting to hear that story. That's pretty cool.
And I know you guys know this. I do these main beams. That's the one that's the hardest to do.
Right.
I'll do those main beams. At least 3 times, unless I get lucky enough to hit it the same. Just put that up there. I think I was 27 on the button. And you said you got 26, and you got pretty close, didn't you?
I don't know. I can't remember what I had on this. Mine were 26 and a half.
But you didn't use the actual cord. I think Josh's were over 27.
Yeah, I don't think I used the cord. I had a soft tape and just ran it and did it. So
Just keep. I'll do it at least 3 times. That way, we know for sure. And it's definitely nice to have somebody else helping. And we come way to the back. That was the thing I had a problem with. I always wanted to come up.
Oh, that's what I did on one.
yeah, and that was the thing. Like you almost wrap it around the bottom, from the base of the burr back. You just tuck it around at a natural curve, and then you ride the outside, right?
Yep.
All the way to the tip.
And it's funny. When I started, the thing I remember the most was the guy saying, Russell was like, "We're not here to make the hunter look good. We're here to make the deer look good."
Right.
So if you can measure it a different way, of course I did. If you can measure it a different way, and it still has to adhere to the rules.
Yep.
But say you measure a beam on the or a tine on the inside versus the outside.
Right.
Whatever's the longest wins.
Right, and it's like that with like the abnormals too. You get the longest.
Yep.
The longest possibility on all that.
And most of the time, it's running on the outside edge.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, like this one's going to be kind of funky, but I bet it's going to be longer on the outside edge.
You may clip it?
Yeah, would you?
Where's the clip at?
In my. Oh. Thanks.
Yep. Ready?
Yep. Perfect. Done. Man, that hit.
He's trying to do a clap. I'm not sure which clap is. Oh.
I have a thing to label those. Actually, I think I threw them away.
Oh, would have been cool. Applause.
Still.
What were you there? Same?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to leave it probably at 27 even.
I don't know. You still have all those papers?
I think they're inside, which
Be interesting to see what
Oh yeah.
how close I was. I mean, I remember my final score, so
And I always like to compare.
after the fact is where I'm at.
If anybody from, I'm going to have you do that.
do it again.
That way, kind of what the other guys have done or whatever.
Right. And a lot of these deer, it really, really doesn't matter in the long run, but it's nice to know for myself, like when I score something, okay, yep, I was pretty close. And then even like judging the deer, like when you judge them off trail cam pictures and off of the hoof, and because
I was telling you he's over 180, like, oh yeah.
well, only one picture did he look over 180.
I had a lot of velvet pictures he looked over.
The velvet pictures of him walking away made him look 180.
Excuse me.
But
yeah,
that was just.
Even when I shot him, Nick and I were like, yeah, he's a big deer.
Yeah, I didn't see him going mid-90s by any stretch.
No,
of the
nor did
imagination.
I. But his body was absolutely huge.
But you guys, when you guys do your trail cameras, do you put them on video or photo?
I do
99% photo. I got a couple that are on video.
I'll just do this whole handler first.
You do 27 on that too?
Yep. Well, 26. That was underneath. That was 26 and something, like 26 and 3/4. So we're going with the 27.
Okay.
But I always like the video because the photos fool you.
They do.
You get a deer looking right at you, and it looks wider and.
Yeah,
he just dwarfed all the other deer. Like there's a 2.5-year-old standing by him, like he doesn't even. It was
not even in the same ballpark.
Yeah, it's.
But he's got so much mass and just, a lot of the time, just being avid deer hunters, what to look for here. You're looking for bloodlines,
Yeah.
And when it comes to the beams, this is where I love.
And that thing got some beating too, so.
Yeah, it'll be once Dylan's done with it, I think it'll probably be my favorite mount. It's got the width, the mass. We're going to do, you guys can't see it, but I think it's going to be the opposite turn. That form.
I mean, it's same genetics. I mean, look at the brow tines. Look at the inside 4. It's
the
exact same genetics.
It's the same area, too.
Same genetics, 100%. I mean, look at them. Now that I look at it, look at the 4s. Double inside 4s.
That's
right. Look at the split brows.
Yep, split brow.
Look at the 4 on that side.
He's got the same bladed 2.
Yep.
Well, I guess his 3 is more bladed. But.
Well, no, this 3's bladed though too. So this year is probably just a year older than that deer, or just happened to be that little bit better genetics,
Yeah, that deer could have been only 4 or 5. I don't know. He just showed up.
But yeah, 100% same genetics, for sure. I mean, the brow tines and that extra stuff give it away, for sure. That's cool.
It's hard with all the beating to find my pencil mark.
Right. Oh, I mean, so I guess we've never really talked about this deer. So, well, he didn't. Did we have a podcast about it? Maybe we did. Yeah, we did a podcast with your deer. Yeah. Yes.
Oh.
But
yeah, there was one update. The guy that was actually raising Cain about taking pictures the next day, and he ended up getting from the farm. So I shot him in the evening, took him home, put ice in his cavity. Yeah. And some guy seen the pictures the next day and he was jealous, and because he can hunt the same farm.
Of course.
The thing of it is, he shot like 175, 180 inch deer a couple days prior, so he's just, I don't know. We don't need people like that.
I hate to say it, man. That's the world we live in.
It is.
We've got, you look at all the people on Facebook, the trolls that come out, and it's like, why can't we all just get along?
Right.
Yeah, everybody's always got to say something about somebody else. And, and it's unfortunate because we have enough antis against us.
Even with starting the podcast, there's people out there that they're against, the whole podcast thing. And if you know what, you're still a fan. If you don't like it, if you're watching, you're still a fan.
It broke my heart when the doctor told me that I'm not pulling a bow back.
Really?
And I had to go with the crossbow.
Oh, you got a Raven, don't you?
Yeah. And all my shots are the same. Still under 20 yards.
But you still love to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And I still can.
Yep.
But, you tell somebody, I got it with a crossbow.
In the
back of my mind.
Yeah, people are, they're judging you. Well,
and I mean, you don't want to.
No.
That's the difference. In my opinion, I have nothing against crossbows. I have one. I used it turkey hunting in Nebraska. They're fun to shoot. Yeah, they're super accurate.
If you can't pull back a compound, the crossbows, 100%.
Yep.
There's nothing against them. My father-in-law shot his deer tonight with them. He's got a bad shoulder.
Yep.
And last year he shot 2 bucks with Jace in the blind with the crossbow, and it was late muzzleloader, so he could use a crossbow. But
right.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, they get a bad rap, and honestly, even if, let's say, we disagree with you using a crossbow or me using a crossbow, at the end of the day, if it's legal, then it's legal. That it just is what it is. You can not be for it all you want, but until the laws and regulations are changed, or or you buy that person's tag for them.
Yeah, or you know, eventually one day if you have shoulder problems, well, you know, everybody's got an opinion. Some opinions are just.
I mean, like I have a bad back. I had to take 2 days off during the middle of the rut because I couldn't stand up. You know, and I'm 38 years old. So I mean, I'm
you're gonna be shooting a crossbow before you know it.
Give me a couple more months. I'll be shooting a crossbow.
I thought you had old man strength when you got older. That's Aaron. Aaron and I talked about that today. Like we're getting older. I'm getting old man strength. I don't have to work out.
I think it's just dumb. I think it's just dumb strength.
Dumb strength
that you get. So
I figure as long as I can still make it up in a tree stand, that's the big thing. You know, I did buy one of the cheapy blinds. One of these times I'm going to break down and get a.
I'll sell you a hawk, get you real good or muddy. Yeah, I actually had like I try to run out of the stand at night so the deer, you know, I do that noise and the raccoons, and I run out as fast as I can just to get out of there so I'm not telling a deer what I am. Yeah. And I stepped in a hole like a week ago and my knee buckled, and ever since, like climbing out, it's like I got a safe line, but like going down I had to like double step on the tree steps.
Yeah, down.
Yeah, it's down. Yeah.
I mean, I found this year, and I don't know if it's my age or it's because of my back, and I don't like heights, but I've never had a problem with tree stands ever. I've been getting like vertigo in the tree stand. Like I'm up there and I don't feel comfortable. Like I feel like uneasy.
But you have a safe line?
Yeah. I mean
that's the best part. I feel so safe going up.
Like I'm standing there and I'm like, just like.
Are you doing this, like looking this way? Because when I start to do that, my like neck, and I'm like, oh God, like I have to grab the seat or.
It just depends. It's been really weird.
You know what I'm saying? You start looking like your neck's like this way, and you're like, right. Oh, I got a little dizzy there.
Like I was even telling Jenny, I was like, the stand I shot my buck out of is only 15 feet, maybe. And I'm like, man, I just wasn't feeling like super, super comfortable. And it was weird. So.
You know what's good for back pain? Can't say it on podcast.
What's good for back pain is Tylenol PM. Help you go right to bed.
I shouldn't say it. I'm not going to say it since we're on the podcast.
There's medicinal uses for it.
Go to Walgreens and buy them out.
Right. Oh.
All right. Now, I suppose we'll start working on these
abnormal
points.
So we're in a big buck contest, just a kind of a friendly thing it was a Snapchat group. I think Chris made it, and Taylor, one of our buddies, shot a absolute stud, like 190-inch deer, and shot with a muzzleloader, right?
That was muzzleloader deer?
Yeah, so he was sitting in first, and then I thought, oh, you know, maybe I get, you know, 180 out of this guy. Then when we scored, I'm like, holy cow. So I think for the contest, Cameron Coble, if you know that name, he'll score him for the contest too. But
yeah, at least the ones that are in running.
The archery, like just our little group there, I think like first, second, and third, they're all like real close, like 165-ish.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if anybody's above that, but.
Yeah, I don't remember what Dylan's deer was. And
yeah, he's 164, I think, and a couple other guys on there.
Right.
Kind of just a fun little competition.
Yeah, I figured I'd play along. You never know. I just need something.
Yeah.
I need a freak to show up late season from like my big old 200.
Yeah, we were talking about those transient deer. Mark kind of mentioned that. He didn't really have any. And the only farm that I had one was on my in-laws, and Jeff killed him tonight. He was a transient that stayed.
Yeah. It just happened he showed up and just kind of like,
hey, I like this place. It's got evolved turnips.
A lot of does here. There's good food.
And there's no other bucks that would whip me. There's about 10 other little dinks, but
besides this old guy that drives around on this
on his Polaris Ranger
every day 4 times
you know it's crazy. Jeff told him, hey, you know, stop driving back there. And the week that he stopped driving back there, the deer just showed up.
I mean, we've talked about this for years.
My goodness. And if I could put that back food, like the back alfalfa, that 2 acres, into a food plot. If I could put all 6 acres.
If you put like the back plot into corn, standing corn,
I could do, switch in the middle, evolved 2 acres. Like, it's just the deer that come from the other areas. It could be an absolute bomber farm, which maybe eventually.
right?
What's your guys' favorite food preference?
For food plot? Yep. All year, I'd say clover all year.
If you had one.
But
clover.
turnips, I love turnips because I love going out there. I love seeing them, the green brows, and then I love
That's
the
just
bulbs.
because yours work every year.
They do.
You're
down south, yeah. You're
mine down south don't grow. Like if they grow, they're the size of like golf balls at best, and it's horrible. I put in all the time and effort, planted it 4 or 5 times, overseeded it, fertilized by hand, all this stuff to get tops.
And no rain.
And it sucks. But
you get that loamy southern Iowa soil.
In my opinion, if you can have corn and have the ability to knock it over.
I think with corn, I think you have to have such a big plot. I think it's got to be at least an acre, like at minimum.
Yeah, you're not doing a micro plot in corn.
Yeah, so the bigger the better, and if you can mow those, those runways to your blind, which is normal agriculture purposes. Kind of weird to say.
The guy that farms my place, he gives me about an acre of whatever he's planting.
Right.
It's buyback.
Yep. Yeah, he just out of the kindness of his heart.
Oh, really?
Yep. Because we're it's the good buddy deal. So
right.
He goes, I just figured that's part of farming your place. I'm like, okay.
We did 6 acres of turnips at my in-laws because the farmer was leaving it stagnant for a year because he's going to plant alfalfa the next year. He's going to do a dormant seeding, but we're like, well, we'll plant this. And it was a little late, but it was a lush like football field, and the deer absolutely loved it. But I would say, clover. Clover's king.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of clover. And
I'm surprised, but I'm not, because in the grand scheme of things, clover has probably drawn in and kept more deer in a spot for me.
Early, it's phenomenal early. It's one of them spots during the rut when other things are dying off that the does are still going to filter in through.
Yeah,
That's going to bring.
If you can throw rye in with it to kind of that cold snap winter rye, that's awesome.
It is. You just have to remember in the spring to take care of it. If you
mow it.
If you mow it once, it's done. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, but if you don't, you'll have my problem, and it'll be common mullein and rye that's 6 foot tall and thicker than a Snickers. So
that's how mine was. It was horrible.
It was.
You got to mow it. Right on turkey season. Get through turkey season. You get into May.
Yeah, the turkeys love clover too. That's another plus. But having that straight alfalfa in the orchard grass, it's actually really nice. Like the farmer does everything. He mows it, he maintains it, or cuts it and bales it. So
yeah, that makes it pretty nice.
But when that particular farm was row crop, it was.
I don't even remember it being row crop.
I remember driving back there and it being corn. There's 6 acres of corn. I'm like, man, if we could just let this. That was before the guys to the north sold. So.
Oh, and they started running ag.
Yeah.
This just going to be a challenge.
Yeah, it's kind of funky. Comes off kind of the beam and the 4, and that's one of those where you're like me scoring it. I'm like, okay, well, where do you actually start at it? And does it go back in farther? Does it have the veins to go all the way to the beam? So if that's the case, does it go?
So you just transect it on each side right there?
Yeah, I'm gonna get it as close because this bloodline runs all the way down to this main beam.
Right.
So I'm gonna go as close to the beam as I can.
So right there, you're probably gonna gain probably at least half an inch more than what I gave you.
Well, I mean, and some of these numbers, like we did it fairly fast.
Yeah.
So it's not like we took our time knew what we were doing, looking at the veins and putting the pencil marks.
Most of this is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, it was just eyeballing it. Oh, I'm gonna just draw a line, imaginary line.
Up, go.
And you'll be surprised how close you are. I'm gonna try it from the backside, just to see what we get.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like this is one of those that kind of almost has a dip in it. So could you get more out of it?
Those does are smelling where it walked.
That wasn't even close.
There's the buck I seen tonight, chasing the does. Little guy.
Yeah.
Grunting his little head off.
My big
There's a big one.
that farm I'm buying, that Big 10 showed back up. He was MIA for about a week, and I was like, great, because the last time I sat there trying to kill him with my bow, there was somebody on the gravel road on the section on the other side. He stopped and like backed up, and I'm filming. I'm like, I'm just waiting for a rifle to come out of the, come out and whatnot. I'm like, oh man, you got to be kidding me, and all this, and he never did. I'm sure he just probably saw him locked down to the doe in the ditch and just wanted to take a closer look. And
You would have stopped too.
oh yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like I didn't hear a gun go off, and I don't blame him a bit for stopping. And it is what it is. So, but that just explained it. I never got a picture of him after that, so I was semi worried that he'd ran somewhere else and got shot, or I assumed he was with a doe, and then he came back like 3 or 4 days ago, and I was very happy.
Stick around for late season.
Yeah, if he sticks around till late season, that's my hit lister right now. So, and then hopefully during it'll probably have to be second season shotgun. I'm gonna get Sophie down there after that big old 8-pointer.
The big one.
Yeah, the one that I passed like 3 times. That I don't know. He's 5'6". He's fully mature, but he's like 125, maybe 300-pounder. Just a huge.
Oh, the big one that came out.
Beefy one. Yeah, I passed him multiple times, and I'm just like, not what I want to wrap my tag around. But if he gets to be latter part of late season, I'll shoot him. I have no problem with that.
Did you go late muzzleloader, Mark?
No. I thought about it this year. I saved my farm tag. I burned my
landowners. Oh,
actually, because I was saving that landowner because I could do anything I wanted to with it, and I thought, it's either going to be shotgun. That way I can catch.
yeah. You go one and two.
Yep, and that first I've been going that first season, and get that landowner tag for the shotgun and catching rut. Now for the past 3 or 4 years, you're still catching those hot does.
Yep.
And seeing some big ones.
Yeah, get bumped in and.
Yep. Yeah, I've got transient bucks that come on that I've never seen before. They're for whatever reason, and this year I got a wedding on that weekend, so I was like.
But if you buy your landowners for shotgun, it's good for both.
Right.
So.
Well.
So you got 3 weeks. You can.
Then I had this vacation that went south.
Right.
So I bought my second tag for
bow
archery. So
you still go late muzz. Well, I
did got a doe tag for late muzzleloader, but I'm gonna take a cousin out that's chomping at the bit to kill something, and he's never shot a deer, so
anything that steps out, he's gonna.
Yep. And last year I had to go out of town, so I kind of left him high and dry. This year I'll be there. I figure I'll just
get him his first deer.
Yep, because I'm like, I can't teach you how to do a muzzle loader.
Yeah.
I can't show you how to clean it and do it right. So this year will be kind of fun.
Hollis does have a couple for sale, smokeless. I talked to him the other night.
Yeah. So on your H measurements or your mass measurements, is there a certain spot you have to do it on?
No.
Smallest?
The smallest circumference.
Okay,
yeah.
So you just kind of go, and probably normally it is in the middle, I would guess, because it's not going up on either of the tines or.
And it's a special tape because it's got a little blank spot.
Yep.
That way I can pull it tight.
And I usually go to I skip an inch when I do mine. Yep. So I start at this in number 2 and then just subtract an inch.
With that one, you don't have to.
Right, yeah, yep.
All right.
That one's done?
Yep.
That's the small side?
Deciphering. All right. Well, we'll do the old main beam.
Get your clip, Greg.
You know, and it's just fun to come see you guys and hang out. That's why I'm still doing this. It's fun. There's still a few people that call. And
So what do you average as far as a year, 1 or 2 now?
yeah, probably. It used to be, you do 10, 20 year. And you could go more than that if you want to. You could go hit some of these shows.
Oh, yeah.
Because I put in, a buddy of mine back in the day, he had a mom and pop gun shop,
Right.
archery shop.
Had a big buck contest.
Yep, and he just said, hey, will you come in and score them for a weekend? And I'm like, well, yeah, as long as I'm still hunting. But I just broke down and came in for a Saturday, and I probably scored 30.
Oh, wow.
Years.
Right.
Now, how many of them actually make it? I don't know. I about beg and plead to have people, if I'm going to go through all the work, to enter the thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, you get the certificate, and it's kind of fun. I haven't done my own in years.
What's your biggest deer? Over 2, ain't it?
Well, yeah, there's Crazy Horns. He's 218. And then there's...
So can you legally score your own deer?
Yeah.
And submit it?
Yeah. Yep.
So you got to take pictures, right?
Yes, you got to take pictures of them. Field photos if you got them, which I never have. The only field photos I ever get is just a dead deer laying in a ditch.
No one take pictures?
Now that you got a cell phone, it's a little different.
Right.
I can take something that resembles a field photo, but then you get back home and you take some, and I don't need to fudge. I do have one of my favorite deer, though, is actually, there we go. Right there. One of my favorite deer, I was shotgunning, and I told the guys I just shot the biggest 8-pointer I've ever seen in my life. Guys being guys, 8-pointer, 8-pointer.
Yeah.
So we went to look for it, and we started tracking it, and it was getting pretty late in the day. They wanted to go hunt another piece, so I gave up. I tracked it probably 3/4 of a mile. Okay, it's killing me. So we do our thing. The next morning, I'm back out there, crack of dawn, trying to find this thing, and I do. I'll walk up to it, grab one antler, off she comes. I'm like, no. So I'm like, oh, well, the other one's still on there. No. The thing scored, it had the 10th points. They were an inch. It was 182 inches.
Holy shnikes.
8-pointer. I just grind them down. And
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like that.
Do you have pictures of it we can share?
I
Like,
don't-
at home or something, you
Oh,
can take
yeah,
a picture
yeah.
and Jesse could throw it up because that's impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like that buck, that one that you've scored for me, it had a couple extra points. So like on actual scoring, those extra tines are like, man, if those weren't there, it's the only time you don't want the extra points. It's like a perfect 8-point, and then it's got a short little G4 on the one side. You're like, you suck so bad, or a kicker point,
and yours kind of I just want to cringe when it's got the width, and
yeah,
I got to take
so
it away
close.
from you. It's just.
It was so close too. I mean, I had a Boone and Crockett scored, and it ended up net 166 and change as a typical, But I think without, I forget exactly what it was, but it was
That the one I got last year, I bet that 8-pointer probably. I bet he's going to be in the 160s.
really.
Yeah, I hope. Just gnarly old thing. I don't know if you guys remember me posting the pictures of him, but he was gnarly old beast, probably 6, 7 years old.
You had one up well over 2. Was that 2 years ago?
Oh yeah, when I was trying.
Close.
There you go. Oh, if I counted all the 200-inch deer, there's people that won't ever see them in their lifetime, and I've messed up on half a dozen.
Yeah.
That Thor, he was 263. The neighbor killed him. Crazy horns. Who else? The flyer from Martinsdale.
People, let me stop you. People are listening to this. It's all 200 of them. So thank you guys. And they're like, "What?
Yeah,
this guy's crazy." And he's killed some big deer.
I've hunted some pretty good ground over the year, and I can count on one hand the number of deer that I think might touch 200, and it's probably legit maybe 2 or 3.
And I've never had a deer
for sure.
I've never had one to hunt that's over 2.
I shot that one during shotgun season that somebody else hit and claimed it, and I scored it at like 227 or something like that. Big non-typical, had extra main beam. But the 7 is a mainframe 7 on the one side was like 97 inches, and the typical side, and it's sickening. I didn't talk for a week after that. It was bad. Should have been my deer. The guy walked up on it, and it stood up, and he shot it in the neck and dropped it as it was bleeding out.
It's crazy that, but back then, all my neighbors, I grew up with a fishing pole and a 22, and you just depended on your mood, what you were going to go do that day. But you could walk for miles.
Right.
Now, look out.
Yep.
That's over.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy that, even back home, I remember in high school, the amount of permission I had on all these different farms, you could go for 3 miles on a river bottom and not have to worry about anything because you had either one person owned it and you had permission from them, or multiple people did and you knew them and you grew up with them.
Right.
And now everything's so parceled out that you don't have that. So
that was kind of dumb. You got it all done, and then thanks.
That probably makes it easier.
Nowadays I just can't. Nowadays, actually, I did something last year. I shouldn't say that, but I'm out shed antler hunting, and I got a place where I've had permission forever. And I got a buddy that lives up the road, and not thinking, I know the 3 parcels of ground that I crossed. I grew up with them, so I don't think anything about it. I'm like, I'm going to go see my buddy. I didn't find, I wasn't finding any antlers, so I'm just like, just go over and see him. So I jump over the fence, and that was the wrong thing to do. I walked into a herd of trail cameras. I'm like, oh crap. So
were they his?
Nah, this was it's Jaren's.
Oh, Davey.
Yep. And I was like, oh man, I felt like a schmuck. So I backed up, and I'm like, that's something I told him. I'm like, it's never ever going to happen again, and shame on me for doing it, even though I know.
And you talked to him about it?
Oh yeah. I was like, because I wasn't on your place or on, because he had permission.
Oh, it was a permission farm that he had.
Oh yeah.
He's such a cool dude. He's got I think a hat company now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I was like, yeah, that's a lesson learned.
But you had permission previously.
Yeah.
You still did.
Years, but I just, I'm like, eh.
Yeah. He shot a good deer.
Yeah.
He shot a real nice one.
Now I called him instantly, going, sorry. Well, he called me first, and I'm like, shit, shoot.
Nah, you're good.
You can say it. Got to be 18 to watch this or listen.
Yeah, it just makes it easier to edit if I don't have to worry about kids watching it. We keep it pretty PG-13.
There you go.
Any more lattes in the truck?
Rest of the case.
Can't drink the whole case.
No.
Got work tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't believe the amount, the way it's changed. All my sanctuaries gone, and the deer, the change in deer now. That 175 inch is a monster on my place now. I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah, when it used to be just.
Yeah, I'm like.
And are you technically Southern Iowa? Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
South of 92. So.
So you're Southern Iowa.
Yeah, barely.
You're northern Southern Iowa. You can take the girls out first season?
We'll party. I'll go.
Oh,
south
first season, yeah. Or second season, we'll take the girls.
Yeah, well, because they'll have school and gymnastics during the week.
But on the weekends.
Yeah, and after daylight savings time, there's absolutely zero chance of taking Sophie out because Charlotte's tagged out. She shot a doe during youth, and that's all she really cared to do. And yeah, maybe it'll be different once this farm's actually in my name and all said and done, and be a little less, troublesome trying to do all of it. So
my neighbors and I have hunted together for so long. They're like family. I go to their Christmas parties, and everybody's like, "You need to get them off of there if you want big deer. If you want big deer." And then I keep thinking, we don't really kill that many big deer. We kill more does, which I'm going to back off on. And for a long time, I was my own worst enemy. I'm the one out there filling multiple tags, and now it's like, no.
Yeah.
I think every farm has its own. I think Mark says it all the time. It's DNA. When you find out what type of farm it is, and if it's a sanctuary farm, or if it's a farm that holds deer all year long, or if it's
but it like he said, I listened to the same podcast. It takes you years.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years to figure
it out.
Yeah,
and I figured out the lease in 3 years,
or at least have known about it.
I can tell you about to the day when the deer leave, and it's about October 7th or 8th. They leave the farm across the river.
Yeah.
Mine's probably Halloween, right around Halloween.
Yeah.
Is when mine bailed.
It's nice, though, if you have a big enough farm where you can make it so it's neither of those, just in particular.
Yeah, you may have certain deer that will venture off and do things certain ways and whatnot, but when it comes down to it, it's not the whole farm.
Right. And then there's certain deer that do different things. There's one of the guys on Instagram there's a study that he was talking about, and every deer is 100% different. I mean, I can show you, I know more about certain deer than others.
Right.
Because I followed them. And, I played the hand that was dealt, and I got lucky. And
yeah, and I mean that if you are lucky enough to run cameras and get multiple years of history with deer, you find out that they show up on that camera
pretty similar day.
Year,
and dependent on weather, that's a huge factor.
But still, it's not going to throw it off.
Like
weeks.
Last year, today we had snow, and I had my cameras lit up with. So I think the first cold front, these deer are going to be similar to where they were today. So once it's supposed to drop here pretty
20th. I think it's
the next
16th today.
No, it's soon. Like, this is the last warm day we had. Tomorrow's gonna be like high of 50. Then it's just gonna drop from there.
Right.
So next Wednesday, Thursday is gonna be cold. It's gonna be heater bodysuit.
20th.
You ever hear the ones that don't know how to score deer and how listen to all the wives' tales? It's good. You got to hang a ring on it.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Oh, you just hear it over, and I don't say anything normally. I normally don't correct them, unless it's got to be an inch long, and it's got to be wider.
It can't be wider than the length, right?
Right.
Okay. Like if you get like if this was bladed and it was it was an inch and a half wide at the base, it wouldn't count.
So this counts.
Yes. This counts.
Yep. Because like on that one on mine, I have one that doesn't that doesn't make it because it's like 7/8 of an inch right there. It would make it for the width, like where those two do.
Right.
But that one doesn't. Yeah.
And so, kind of show everybody. Grab that, Jesse. With an 8-pointer, so the mass measurements.
Okay, we'll do the same 1, 2, 3. Then you split this last beam.
So right in the middle?
Right in here.
Right in the middle.
Okay.
Yep.
And it would be, so if it was a 6, it would be the same thing. You get that twice.
Right.
Same exact spot.
Right. Then you cut it into thirds, and you'll get the third. You know, if say this wasn't here.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is gone.
Then you move one here and one here, approximately.
So there's a 6-pointer. This
Okay.
is gone. So it's the same thing, right?
Right.
So it's not in the middle twice.
No,
It's
it's two. It's one.
It's a third.
Yep.
Okay, so
So
it
it'd
would
be right here and right here.
whatever.
I did not know that.
Because I thought it was the same twice.
No, at least not for us.
See if I can find
Okay.
the. That's a good one.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't know what Boone and Crockett, Pope and Young would be, because I always thought it was the same measurement twice.
You gotta rescore your 6-pointers, Jesse.
And I thought,
I got some 7-pointers, so it does come into play.
Yeah, it does. On the one side.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. No, well, that's part of being old.
I get you.
Tell you what, I'm gonna have to go see the chiropractor after this season.
Yep. This is like the longest you've had to hunt.
Well, I also had bought my first piece of land, and
Yeah. Yeah, you did shoot a buck with your bow, filled your tenant tag, so that's
a pretty cool hunt that we're gonna have soon. Hopefully, if I get you the footage.
Yeah, I was gonna say it should all be on an SD card for me.
Pretty proud of my shot, flawless.
So this was your muzzleloader.
Yeah, I could have shot him with a bow. He was like 20 yards. I stepped it off when I had to grab a camera from there. It was like 15 yards. Plus it was probably about right around 20.
I got it. You and these early season deer just drive me nuts.
The funny thing was, like, I had him patterned. Like, I was in kill him October 1st. Like, I was pretty confident. And then these kids went in there where he was at and ran him out of there. Which they're kids being kids. I can't fault them for that. I've done the same thing.
Well, I've got a guy. He's 80 years old. He's been squirrel hunting that farm, unbeknownst to me, because Dad didn't tell me until he goes, oh, by the way, I'm like, I never knew he's in there. He comes during the week, but he's 80 years old. It's one of his favorite things to do. And last year, that big 8-pointer must have let him walk right past him, because that big 8-pointer walked right out of that thicket, right out of that bottom and right to me. And then this year,
Nope, didn't happen.
He blew everything out of there. So but I don't have the heart to say you can't do it.
Right. If you're 80 years old and still in the outdoors,
yeah, more power to you.
I hope I am.
Like Richard, is he 80 yet?
He's in his 90s.
Is he really?
He's got to be.
Still turtle trapping?
No, he doesn't turtle trap much anymore. I don't think he gets around too much. I think he does a little bit of mushroom hunting, does a little bit of maybe shoots a squirrel or a turkey every now and then. He still deer hunts with his crossbow.
He didn't deer hunt with you last year.
He didn't go shotgun hunting with us last year. He went the year before. And, I mean, he's the one that, like, when I lived in Iowa City, he lives in Solon. And he got me out there, and when I lived there, I could hunt. So it was pretty cool. I shot a bunch of does out there, and he was the one that got us on that farm, both those farms. The one where you shot that 8-pointer. See how he's over there?
Oh, and then the one that I shot the liver punch, that one, and then
Yeah.
that finished him off.
Yeah, both those farms. And then the big farm.
Yeah, we got to let Mark calculate these up. So Well, break time. I'm gonna go grab a latte. You want one, Jesse?
Yeah.
Mark. That opens up the farm.
Yep.
Something shows up.
And that's like, like the farm I shot my buck on is my uncle's, and he killed a buck a couple weeks before that around Halloween, and he tickled pink with it. Good 8-point. Nothing crazy, but he's like, not so much of a trophy hunter. He walked by and it was too good for me to not pick up my bow, and by all means, let her eat.
It's gonna be, I'd say that's gonna be bigger than what we had.
Well, it's his 14th beer. Of course it is.
No, he hasn't even cracked that one yet. That's his first.
Yeah.
Did it right?
Unless I bookered it up somehow.
Probably.
No, I think we were only an inch off of that.
I'm going to keep going and sometimes when we get to talking.
Yeah. Well, you took your time. We had them done in 5 minutes. So.
Right.
And we didn't know this. We didn't
I
do any
the
pencil
beam,
marks.
There was definitely on them abnormals.
Yeah.
I even said on that one, I'm like, okay, I didn't measure from there. Like, I know I didn't on that
That's not
inside
even
time.
that huge of a difference, right? I mean, it's,
Right, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, depending on where exactly you pull from. So, and when you get done measuring, when you get done adding it up, I do have a question exactly where that comes from.
What?
So it went all the way back there.
It comes from the main beam.
Yep. Right there.
Yep.
See, and I would have done it from
Up
here in the middle of the time.
Right. And you can go all the way to the corner because of that bloodline.
Right.
But I'm going down even a little bit further.
Okay.
But you could actually take it if it's a true turkey.
Yep.
Turkey foot. You literally can go way down in here, depending on how far that bloodline goes. You can go down.
Right, and I've heard that a lot with like some like bladed splits. Like if it comes off like this, like you take this down to like way down in there in some cases. It's so dependent, like on split brows and stuff like that. Where even like this, where it's indented on this inside. So let's say this was more in line.
Right.
You could run that down to here in some certain circumstances, correct? It wouldn't be like, this, you get that inch. It could be, this is almost like thinned. So if it did this on both,
had a
like
bloodline,
like a figure eight, almost like an 8, right?
You have to show like
I don't even know if you have
deer.
one. I don't even think you have one that would.
There's a turkey foot on that tine up there. But yeah, you don't.
Right. Yeah.
What you're trying to say is confusing people.
Right.
But I understand.
It's more for me to ask.
Yeah. So that's
like where this, instead of going like, here, you get down into here.
So this is 95 and 0.8s, right?
Yep.
So if he would have matched,
if some nuts were candies, and
that's right. And the thing is, so I looked for his shed, and I looked for his sheds, and I looked a lot.
I went with you twice.
And Jace went with like and I've talked to the guys around there. Like these sheds are quite possibly still out there, but there's also a good chance that somebody found them.
Right.
He circled around town. Like they might be in someone's yard. They might be in their flower garden. Like
right.
They were super cool. Very similar to this, just obviously smaller, probably mid-60s. But
yeah. Well, and there's so many people that are just, here's a. Here's this is
let my dog chew on it. There was one circumstance of that, and it was a big shed. And my friend I golf with sent me pictures like, look at what they're letting the dog chew on. I'm like, wow, I didn't need to see that.
You didn't one of Newt's antlers, like the 2 or 3 year old.
Yeah, it was a small one.
But
my buddy's dog chewed it up.
But it's one of those things like you don't know that deer may live 5 more years.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden it's some 200-inch deer, and you just let your dog chew up like an amazing part of the story.
Which that's the only antler we're missing
is
the one that the dog chewed up.
Right? See? That's what I'm saying. That's
just it makes the story even better.
Yeah, it adds to the story. I mean, don't get me wrong, it'd be better to have, that'd be 10 sheds, right?
Yeah.
10 sheds and then the rack.
Yep, you're going to be right there where Josh was.
Yep.
We'll do their side score.
79 and 2/8.
Okay, so we were a little shy there, but
made it up over here probably because of this dude. A lot of
yep.
This dude.
That and I think this I measured like to here.
To there.
So what's this? And then the spread?
Yeah, we got to do the spread outside, inside,
tip to tip,
so you get
everything. Just so it's written down, but it doesn't go towards the score.
And it gives you a visual. If you do this long enough, it can give you a visual.
Yep.
Okay, his tips were 4 inches apart.
Okay, so he was 20
inches.
So he did a big barrel. Did the big giant barrel.
So the tip to tip does not count. Like he's just doing it. I'm telling these people. It doesn't go on the score. It's just for the visual.
Right.
The only thing that will go on the score is the inside.
For us.
The BTR is just.
It is what it is right there with the total bow.
When they put it in the magazine, they add the width, right? They've been adding.
They'll do it both, yeah.
Both ways, yeah.
That's the big draw, though. Put in there,
Yep.
with the width.
With the width to show the score.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean some deer. Here's your little friend, Bug. What do you see on average? Well, I guess you wouldn't really measure deer multiple times, green and then dried. Like if you've noticed, is
there shrinkage at
all?
Like
how much shrinkage there actually is from?
I have seen deer that I've scored one year. They got 3-4 inches that are crossed when I come back to score them. 10 years down the road.
So width is definitely in the skull cap. It shrinks.
That's what I've always thought. Most of it's the skull cap.
As far as like mass and stuff go, that stuff doesn't change.
No.
Yeah, I can't imagine length would shrink. I would assume it'd be mostly in the
skull cap.
Yeah. I'm gonna soak mine for about a week and shove a 2x4 in there and open them up and let them dry.
Can we get them? Add another skull cap, make them wider.
Right.
21, 22.
I got 22 and.
Yeah, I think we were right at
22 and almost 2/8. I think I can get to 2/8, depending on where we go.
Now this, you just draw imaginary lines straight down.
Yeah. As it's going, it's straight across.
But it's inside of beam to inside of beam.
To the furthest point or furthest width.
Yeah, it's 22 and an 8. Pretty consistent right there.
And then, so for reference, does it have to be straight across, or can it be this is an exaggeration, but
no, it's got to be
at least, maybe not perfect, but within a.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. No.
And then you got to go outside.
96 and 3/8. Josh was off an 8. Hot dang.
Yep. Told you guys it'd be pretty close.
Yeah, he was real close.
Now try to judge this thing walking at you through there. All you know is it's a no-brainer shooter.
Yeah.
Right. What was it total with the spread?
196 and 3/8.
Text Josh quick.
So I was 195 and 7/8.
You did yours way quicker than Josh's, so.
Like I say, on most deer, I'll get you within an inch. And this has a few more different things. I totally get why I was low with seeing a couple of those points getting scored.
Even that, Josh didn't do him right either. He just got close.
Right.
Here, this is kind of a little cheat sheet that when you print them off. Pepsi.
I was like, what is that?
Wrong season.
I promised I was going to turn that off.
I did hear one gobble, though, a couple weeks ago. or maybe
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah,
This is kind of, I don't know. That doesn't do you justice. That's just kind of. I'm going to shut this thing off, though. Sorry.
no, you're fine. Yeah.
It's an ad. All right, and then I'll have to write your
Well,
address and stuff on there.
let's
Today's the 16th, right?
yes. Let's wrap up the podcast so I don't have to spend 9 hours editing it. So, Mark, we appreciate it.
Hey, I enjoyed
Thanks
this.
for coming and scoring little deer and stuff. Driving this way to score dinks.
Yeah. Maybe next year you'll get a good one.
One of these years.
Well, I appreciate you.
Thanks,
you.
Mark. All right.
Awesome.